Hello, welcome to Rich Biz Life's Adventures. Now in this episode what I'm going to tackle is the dreaded sound system on these vehicles. The Volkswagen Crafter and the Sprinter, notorious for having a rubbish sound system. Now over the years of owning it, I've tried many upgrades. I've upgraded the speakers to two-way speakers, some Pioneer ones, still sounded rubbish. I then upgraded the speakers again to JBL component, so you have a little crossover box to a tweeter to a subwoofer speaker, and I upgraded that to 6.5 inch rather than 5.5 inch, so I did have to cut a bit of the doorway out to fit that in. Now it did fit in, sounded a lot better, especially with the tweeters. They give much more of a higher frequency, you know, so it's much more clearer. And I fitted those in the place that the tweeter normally goes in on the dash and the subwoofer mid-range speaker goes in the door, so to look at it you wouldn't know any different. And the little crossover box I hid it up behind the dashboard, so again you would never see that, but it still sounded rubbish. I then proceeded to upgrade the radio. I bought an Android 9-inch, 10-inch touchscreen thing for the sat-nav, thinking that might improve the sound, but it still sounded rubbish. I've come to the realisation now though that on the Volkswagen Crafters and the Sprinters, the door system is so vast. It's a big old door. It doesn't offer no back pressure to the speakers. Speakers require a certain amount of back pressure to give damping. Well, because it's got no back pressure, the speaker's just rattling, and I can tell that because when I turn it up above and get it to about 3/4, it starts popping and cracking, and that's because the speaker's reaching the end of its travel and it starts to crack and pop. And it shouldn't do that with some very expensive JBL component speakers. They cost me the best part of £350 for the component set up. I thought they would sound a lot better. They do sound better, not good enough. So what's my plans? Now when I tell you this, some of you guys might scream out and say, oh, that's absolutely rubbish, but anyway, my plan is, let me just get this out of the van. My plan is these. I'm going to insert these up in the door cavity because it won't encroach on the window winder, because your window winder starts here and the speaker's about there, so therefore I can mount that up in that void. And if it's a little bit too fat, what I can do is I can blow hot air in this and it will sort of plasticise and mould to the shape of the door. And then what I'll do is, so that will go up in the cavity, so you'll have the inner door skin and the outer door skin. So this side here would be the outer skin, and then the inner door skin will be where the speaker sits. So then I can cut a hole where the speaker goes and rivet through the speaker, through the door skin and into the plastic. So if I want to reduce the back pressure, because like having no back pressure to a speaker, having too much back pressure is also not good for the speaker system, I can just remove this lid and I'll get a port. If that's too much reduction in back pressure, I can just put a hole in this, and I've got lots of these lids, so I can fine tune it with how big a hole I put in this lid, or just take the lid off altogether, and then I can glue that lid on if I want to, stop it from vibrating off. So now I'm going to go about getting this sorted. Now before we get started, I'm going to play some non-copyrighted music, just as a point of reference, so you get to hear it before and hear what it's like after, and hopefully we get a significant improvement, because there's no reason why this sound system shouldn't give a right nice bass. I mean, I'm not expecting subwoofer standard where people have these amps and all that. I'm not expecting that, but I've got a Focus, or the wife's got a Focus, and I've got a Fiesta, and both of them have got a real nice sound system, and straight out the factory, no upgrades, no nothing. I'm thinking, why am I not getting that sort of setup? So anyway, here we go. I'm going to now press play, and you get to hear before, and then I'll do the same after, and we'll see what sort of difference we make. Here we go. you might listen to that. I don't know whether it's coming across on this camera or not, but some of you might listen to that and think, what's wrong with that? That's fine. It's a little bit empty, the sound. It's a little bit, it's like it's in a church. Do you know what I mean? And you can play away with the EQ as much as you want, and that's as much as I've got it to sound the best. And I think that's pretty good, but I've spent a lot of money getting it to that stage, and I want to get it better. I don't want to go down the route of putting amps and all that in. I just don't want to do it. I want to keep my weight to a minimum. And then plastic containers. These plastic containers, they're very light, and they should conform quite well to the shape of the inner door panel. So anybody that's interested, the name of that track is Blue, and it's by AGST, and it's on Epidemic Sounds, and it is copyright free. So if you want to head over, I'll put a link in the description below. If you click on that link, it'll take you straight to where you can find all these tracks that I play. So make sure you check out Epidemic Sound and use my link below, and it helps me out as well, and it helps you guys out as well. And that's where most of these YouTubers get their copyright free music from. Epidemic Sound. Let's go. Okay, so we've got the door card off, and there's my JBL audio component speaker upgrade. So I think they're about 380 watts. They should sound quite good. They should deal with it. They shouldn't pop and crack. So I think that's because there's no porting and the speakers travelling too much. In fact, if I was to switch that radio on now, you'd probably see that speaker moving way too much. So now what I'm going to do is try and remove this membrane as carefully as I can, because I don't want to put a split in that. Don't panic too much. If you do split this, you can just tape it back to the joint. If you can leave it in one piece, the better. So sometimes it's not better off pulling it, it's better off using a little blade, Stanley blade or single edge blade or something, and just cut this butyl tape that's on it. As you're pulling it, just cut it generally, and it should come off in one piece and then just roll down. You don't have to take it all the way off on the bottom, you can just flap it down. But first I'm going to remove this speaker, and then I'll drop that membrane, because the membrane goes behind the speaker. So I'll get doing that. And back with the blade. So sort of cut the butyl tape as you're sort of pulling it back. Nice and slow and steady. See what I mean? That even when you do it slow and steady, sometimes it can tear. Sod's law is it's pretty raining today. Put the canopy out to try and reduce how much water's getting on everything. Right, I think that should be enough. Now there isn't as much room behind there as I thought. That is quite tight, so I am going to have to heat them bottles up and squidge them down a bit. Yeah, I even put some of that close-off foam behind there to try and reduce the bounce of the air. Didn't make no difference, so I'm going to remove that and then try and squeeze one of them in and set about getting that moulded into shape and secured in there before I secure it in there with the rivet fixing. Now anybody who says shouldn't rivet your speakers, Volkswagen Audis deem it fit to rivet their speakers in, so why can't I? Just made it easier than trying to get fittings and screws that can come loose. Rivets tend to grab, and they grab for life. Yes, you have got to drill them out when you want to take them out, but no biggie. So I'm going to set about doing that now, seeing if I can squeeze this bottle in there. Like I said, I might have to put my heat gun on the bottle to squeeze it in there. Fingers crossed I do manage to get it in. Let's see. this bit's too wide. I've got to try and narrow that down a little bit. It is way too fat. That's about how fat I want the whole lot. So if you do manage to find any of these that are nice and slim, they're the ones you want. But I'm going to keep heating this up and then getting it in there. Once it's in there, I can put hot air in there and blow air in there with my compressor, and what that do is it will puff it all out and fill all the voids. This is my plan. Probably not even going to go very well. Now I hear what a lot of you are saying, probably put hot water in it, but you can't compress water. So you're better off doing it little by little with air, till you get it nice and slimmed down, so you can manage to squeeze it in. Like I said, then I can re-inflate it once it's in there. Okay, it's in there, but now it's well out of shape. Okay, so I've got that in there, and what I did is I punched a little hole in there, and I heated it all up around there, heated it up around the back as much as I dare. It's only thin plastic, and plus I didn't want to get the metal too hot and boil the paint. So I've done that, and then what I did with that hole is I got my airline blower in there and just gently fed air into there, and it sort of, you can see it sort of almost bulging, but I didn't want to go too much and bow the end outside of the door panel off, so it's just created a lot. And then when I released that pressure and it had cooled down, it relaxed a little bit, but it still maintained shape. So that's on that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also unsolder this speaker, put a small hole in the top of the tub, thread the wire through there, re-silicone at the top of that so it makes it more of a seal, and then bring the wire back through and then re-solder it back onto the speaker. And then also I'm going to cut this out and mount the speaker in there. I've left the lid on at the minute, but we'll see how much of a difference it makes. Fingers crossed this is going to make a significant improvement. Let's find out. Okay, so I've got the hole cut, and just for reference early on, I'm just going to test it now by putting the speaker in, so you see if you can tell the difference on camera. Could you tell the difference? I'll tell you what, that speaker's moving a lot less. When it's out, that speaker's moving a lot more, and it reduces the movement of that speaker, but actually increases the volume, which is bizarre. Typical, the rain's coming down now, so I'm going to skip ahead with this side and hopefully give you a bit more in depth of the next stage on the next one. Okay, so I've got the driver's side one in now. Now it's just a case of, and I've put the wire through. Now I've just got to rivet the speaker back in place. Now I've got some special rivets. And these are called split backs, and they're made for plastic. and instead of them just mushrooming over, they actually split open like spider legs, so it'll grip the plastic more and pull it in. So let's put a couple of them in. I need to make sure the drill goes through into the plastic. So put that in there, make sure they all line up. Got my air riveter here. Let's get some more rivets. Okay, so that's both sides done. I've got as much insulation and wrapped around them as I can to stop them from rattling, and they no longer rattle. If there are rattles, it's the door cards themselves and things I've got in the doors. The speakers tend to behave a lot better. There's less sort of movement, but they amplify and go louder for some reason. I think that's just the science behind speakers. I don't profess to be some expert in speakers, but anyway, let's see what it's like after. And the settings and the EQ is all exactly the same. I haven't changed anything else, and I don't really know if it's going to show up on camera, the difference, but I'll flip between the two before and after, and you can tell me in the comments if you think it sounds better, worse, same, whatever. Anyway, let's see what it sounds like. Well, what do you think? Have I wasted my time? Have I made it slightly better? Is it no different? Has it made it worse? I don't know. I don't know how well this is going to pick up on a small GoPro mic. It might have even been distorted it for all I know. So I might have wasted my total time on this video. Should have just done it and just say I've done it, because if it's not picking up on camera very well, to me personally, it's still not quite as good as I want, but everything I'm doing is a slight improvement, and this again is a slight improvement over what it was. I think my next protocol now will be to put some wadding in them boxes so they're not empty, and by wadding I mean like very similar to what you put in your van walls, your insulation. And what that does is it stops the air inside from resonating and bouncing around too much. It slows it down, gives it a chance for the air to go where it wants to, and it dampens it. It's like a damper on the airwaves that's being created by the speaker. Again, it probably sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I really don't, but I do know a little bit about audio installation. I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that, to be quite honest, without putting an amp and subwoofer and all that in the van. And I ain't doing that. I really don't want to do that. I just wanted to get it as best I could from the system that's already on board. Let's just try a different track and see what. Just trying to think of a. now, more I'll put them door cards back on. It weren't rattling like that earlier. It's definitely got a lower tone to it now. Now I've improved them tweeters with the component speakers. You can hear them with bit of metal music. It's all off Epidemic Sound. That's a little bit harsh still. Anyway, I'll try some of that wadding in the back there, see if that makes any difference. I know some like house speakers and things like that, when you take them apart, they have got all that like white wadding in there, and like I said, that's like, acts like a damper for all that air that's in there. It smooths it out, slows it down. So anyway, hope it's, I don't know, hope it's been some science project for you. Hey, Rich Busy's now doing science. Has it worked out? I don't know. Only you guys can tell me. And like I said, it might not even be picking up on the mic. So anyway, Rich Biz Life's Adventures is now doing audio science. So if you like what you've seen, please like, please subscribe, and please give us a comment. Let us know what you think of it. And if you really feel like it, click that little bell icon and you'll get to see all our future videos. And on that note, you'll see us on the next episode. Thank you. Bye.